Hey YouTubers, and welcome back to another Dragon Ball Super discussion video. And you guys know I wouldn't be doing this without MJ from MJxTV. MJ, what is up?
What's going on, bro? How you doing?
Anyway, guys, we have a really interesting discussion for you today. And I'm not saying that this is a big part of Dragon Ball Super in terms of like what's wrong with it or something, but it's something I've noticed. It's like it's one of these little things that they've kind of abandoned from Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z that is kind of more indicative of what they did in Dragon Ball GT. And I feel like one of the reasons why not a lot of people bring it up, but also one of these things that, you know, it's at least like, you know, kind of intangibly or like the subconscious level kind of noticeable, and it requires like, it makes us like less enthusiastic about new characters that are being introduced and all this other stuff. And what am I talking about? What am I doing this weird, wacky little stupid tangent on is basically Dragon Ball Super is not introducing antagonists that they're then kind of taking and introducing, you know, and then kind of morphing into good characters and putting them into the main cast of characters that we all know and love. And if you think about it, that's probably been the most consistent thing about, you know, the original Dragon Ball series up through Dragon Ball Z, because if you just put a stupid little list down the line, you have everyone from Oolong, Yamcha, Krillin, Piccolo, Tenshinhan, Chaozu, Yajirobe, Vegeta,
Of course, Vegeta.
Vegeta, you know, all the Nameks, but you know they were never really Android 18, Boo, you know, all these people, and you know, Dragon Ball Super has only done that with Beerus and Whis, and I feel like that's really weird. That, you know, if everyone sit around and talk about they want to see Kaba again, they want to see Hit, they want to see all the people from Universe 6, it's because we want a new character in the cast to be introduced and kind of relevant throughout. I mean, we all love Goku, Vegeta, but I feel like we all want someone else to kind of be introduced, and even if they're on the sidelines, that we can like kind of sit there and be like, I want to see new scenes with that person. So MJ, I know I've been talking for a really long time here, but what do you have to say about this?
Well, this is definitely one of the oldest tropes and DB, you know. I believe other animes have taken this for their main protagonist, but it's kind of always just been associated with a DB thing. Like, oh, Goku is the guy who changes everyone, you know what I mean? It's like his childlike mentality changes everyone. Even like Legic, for example, in GT, even though I know it's not canon, you know. Nova as well, you know what I mean? He's just able to change people, and with this series, he hasn't really done that. You can't even really use Beerus and Whis as an example, just due to the fact that, well, an example from most recently in this current arc was Beerus was about to get ready to destroy the planet, but Bulma offered up food. It's like, yeah, I think he kind of is cool with Goku, but at the same time, it seems like he's just really around because he likes the food. And other example, if you want to go back even farther into a couple of arcs ago, was the Universe 6 versus Universe 7 arc, and Goku was wanting to go help Hit, but Beerus stopped him, and Beerus told him, again, maybe bad subs, but if I remember correctly, Beerus tells him, unless you're up to fight a god of destruction, and he smiles, and Goku backs down. That's not something Piccolo would have done, you know? It's like Beerus was like, come at me, bro, like, let's see what you got, I'll kill you right here. You know what I mean? It's like, that's not something Piccolo would do, you know, like, or Vegeta. Even Vegeta would save Goku, you know what I mean, during some points of the series and even in movies. So it's like, you can't even use them as an example. And Hit, it's like Hit wasn't even a bad guy to begin with. He was just an assassin, you know. They haven't really introduced that, bro. It's like, it's kind of mind-boggling when you brought this up to me. I didn't really think about that. That's one of the main traits of Goku's character, you know.
It's one of the things they played off of in this entire series thus far. I mean, it's the thing that they literally like end, like, you know, the book ending of not only the Battle of Gods movie, but also the arc is them sitting there going like, man, that Goku guy, man, like he assimilates everybody that he comes across. So, like, every person who's like evil-hearted, he kind of changes their mind, and he changes their heart, makes them pure and everything. It's just kind of this leeching off of Goku's just general purity and goodness. And it's not something that we've really gotten in this series. And, you know, it's funny you mentioned GT, because I was mentioning it too. I know Legic and all them, those people changed, but I think like one of the problems with that is those people didn't become like part of the main cast. They didn't assimilate people in GT. I mean, they kind of just kept with their main core characters, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It works for other shows, but for Dragon Ball, you kind of want them to be able to go back and kind of be like, like where would Dragon Ball be if we didn't take that journey to kind of introduce like, Krillin being a rival to Goku, or Vegeta or Piccolo or Yamcha or Tien or any of it. Like those people might have kind of disappeared or gone by the wayside at some points, but they were really important from when they were introduced, and their kind of change into like just being better and changing their attitude about everyone around them and everything is one of the most interesting things, because Goku, at the end of the day, Goku's the main character of this series, but Goku is kind of the guy who's stuck in this kind of turmoil purgatory of he never gets to grow, he never gets to develop as a character. But Dragon Ball has always kind of progressed on this kind of idea that everyone around Goku gets to have these emotional, deep arcs. People like Piccolo, Gohan, Vegeta, and even Yamcha and Tien and all these other people from, Dragon Ball days, they get to change, they get to grow, and they get to we get to see them in the backgrounds. There's like all these great emotional stories going on, and Goku's just kind of this pure-hearted guy who goes in between, he's the one who's, kind of being the catalyst for all this stuff, but it's just so weird that Dragon Ball Super hasn't utilized this, even though they go through such lengths to actually mention that it has occurred.
That is true. It's very funny because they even kind of gave, well, I won't say, because Cabba wasn't bad to begin with, but they actually gave the only character development in the Universe 6 arc with these new characters with Vegeta and Cabba, It's like, which it says a lot for Vegeta's character. I'm happy they did that, but it just seems like, I just feel like the payoff wasn't there with Hit, you know what I mean? But yeah, I really do hope they introduce that. It's just, the problem with this though, bro, is I do not know how long this series is going to go. I cannot predict how long it's going to go. Me and you talked about this off air, if they're going to be jumping straight to the tournament or they're going to have some extra arcs in between. I would really hope if they have some extra arcs that they do include this, because I just feel like this is kind of an essential trait to Goku's character. Like, even if GT kind of failed and didn't really execute it properly, it was still there, you know what I mean? They still had Nova change for Goku, and sacrifice himself. So it just seems like they should at least incorporate that somehow in Super, in my opinion, because that's a core trait for him. I can't really predict how they would do it, but I just hope it happens soon, because again, a core trait, and that has been missing from this series.
So. I agree. I completely forgot about Nova, and it's weird that you mentioned that, because I remember I just recently rewatched all of Dragon Ball GT, and I was thinking like, damn, like Nova's like one of the best story like parts in the entire series. It's very emotional. It's just in terms of like how he kind of changes that guy's mind, especially since what Nova's supposed to be and where he supposedly came from, and because Nova was the one who came from like wishing the evil Piccolo Daimau's wish, right?
Yeah,
like,
I think so. Yeah.
So like my point, like that's an amazing point, and it's weird that you mentioned that, because at this point it's weird to think that like Dragon Ball GT did this more. This like it carried on this character trope of Goku more than what Super has, and I guess that is just my own opinion. It sounds like you have somewhat of the same opinion.
Yeah, I mean, people can say what they want about GT and Super. That's not the point. The point is GT did use that. They utilized that part of his character. Super needs to do that. And I'm harsh on Super, like when it comes to the ROF arc. Like, I fucking thought that sucked and it was bad writing. But I will say, though, that when Super is on point, they do put in some effort. For example, what was it, episode 50, episode 51, where they explain how Bulma got the time machine? How they reanimate that whole entire scene of like when Trunks is packing, Bulma comes in and asks for him because she wants to examine it, and like how they even had those black armbands that were like in memory of Goku. Like they know, like when they're on point, they get their continuity right, and they're they had the same outfit, everything. You know what I mean? So I'll give them points for that. So I really hope that whoever's writing Super, who's ever writing the show now, I just really hope they introduce that soon, that character trait, that they really take it, because that is an essential trait. And it's funny that you mentioned this to me just earlier, and I have never thought about that. They have not. It's such an essential trait, but yet I just completely forgot about it, I think because it happens so much. You're right. It happens so much in the short span. Oolong, Yamcha, Krillin.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone who is assimilated into the core cast that we know, everyone there sitting around and completely ignoring at this point, have been somewhat enemies, or at least evil enemies, competitors. All these people, they hated Goku at some point, or they challenged him at some point, and just because who he is, what he is. And it's not just like them keeping it away from Goku in terms of a trait, it's also just like a story dynamic. And you know, not that we haven't seen it, we've obviously seen it with, we've seen it with Kaba, we've seen it with Hit, Beerus, and Whis, and you know, even Champa to some degree probably has respect for Goku, but they're not assimilating people into the core cast outside of, you know, Beerus and Whis, and I feel like that's the problem. And maybe it's because these arcs are too short or something, or that we're just not there yet in terms of the story. It could be very well that, but I'm just saying, man, I feel like that's something that I really want to see. It's something that I feel it would be heartwarming to like every fan out there, just to see someone new, some new blood enter.
I completely agree. I really hope this arc is an ending. I really hope we get some more. I just feel like with those leaks, bro, they fucked everything up with those leaks, man. I just feel like there's a lot of unanswered questions. But I'm getting off topic here. I just really hope this arc is longer and we get some more cooler story dynamic with this arc.
Yeah, I completely agree. Anyway, MJ, thank you so much for coming on the channel, man.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime, man. It's always been fun. Anyway, guys, please go make sure to check him out. Check out the channel if you haven't, mine and his. Subscribe to both of us if you haven't already, and we'll catch you on the next video. Bye.
Later.